So here's an absolute amazing array of whiskies and bourbons, and the best part is I get to try them all. So yeah, this started out with Mr. Mike securing his unicorn of unicorns, that Booker's Rye there. We'll talk a little bit, and then yeah, that last one we forgot about the handies that we had, so gotta have a good handy. We had two of them, 2022 and 2023. William Larue Weller, Booker's Rye, Heaven Hill 18, Parker's Heritage, Coy Hill, 13th Colony, 149 proof, Jack Daniels, Takara Gold from 1999, and a 20-year toasted barrel. So yeah, stay tuned to check this out. So before we start, let's check out Doctor Who's collection selection here. This guy has got some good stuff. So yeah, he's got every Russell's Reserve 13 batch. He has a massive selection of Russell's Reserve 15s, and he will not sell me one because he is a son of a bitch. Look at all those Coy Hills. Not all hazmat, but most of them. So he got a Rickhouse F and C and a 6 Russell's Reserve 15s, and that Russell's Reserve bottled in 2000 little box collection thing, 16 years old and bottled in 2002. That's sort of his unicorn. So he got that a few weeks ago. Wheeling and dealing, he's pretty good at wheeling and dealing, so a lot of this stuff really is through hunting and trading and stuff like that. So even though we call him Doctor Who, you're not a real doctor. He's like Doogie Howser fake MD doctor sort of thing. So yeah, got a nice selection of Coy Hills there, a lot of hazmat ones. I would like one of those too, please, Doctor Who's, because mine is looking very sad. 10 and 12, bit of a selection of a few of the tasters there. And oh, the tag, wonder where you got that from, Doctor Who. Trying to zoom in on them, but yeah, they're all pretty much hazmats, and a couple of the non-hazmat ones out there at the front. One of them a couple of them actually, he got with me in line. Here's his dusty selection, got a nice dusty selection down here of wild turkey. A couple of 1855 reserves in the rare breed. The 1855 is sort of like the rare breed, foreign, and a couple of batch 2 double oaks there, and a mostly drunken one. And here's his tater shelf. What a tater. What a tater. So yeah, a couple of handies, a couple of stags, Eagle Rare 17, 3 William Larue Wellers, a Pappy 20, and 2 Pappy 15s.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Lot B and Old Rip. Those are the ones we tasted in the last video, so go check that out if you haven't seen it. Some Wellers, that one was actually signed by Prater the Tater. Like that's undrinkable, right? That's got to be worth heaps. Some Almaty Lazy keeps trying to hock off that nobody wants because nobody likes it. Some barrel proof and DH Taylors down there, and an F Cancer bottle. And this is a really nice thing. He painted it, as you can tell, but no, it was sort of like an old antique type thing that he made look nice and like shabby chicy, very shabby. Less on the chic, more on the shabby. And he put some glass in, which is UV tinted, which is smart because one thing whiskey does not like, it'll last forever, but it hates the sun. And here's a stash of samples and drinkers that he probably gives to people who come in that don't know about bourbon. And a really cool thing about this that he pointed out is every one of the little handles is a Blantons topper, and there's 8 of them on there, and it spells out Blantons. So what a bougie bitch. So I didn't take any video of us like reacting on the notes, so we'll see how this video goes. But yeah, Heaven Hill 17 came out last year. Fantastic. Better than the 18. Is it worth twice as much as the 18 on secondary? I don't know. 149.3 proof 13th Colony Rye. Hazmat Jack Daniels. That's what I brought to the table, looking very sad and getting sadder. I brought my Parker's Heritage Rye because just to see how it stood up against the Booker's. Spoiler alert, it didn't. That was my Takara Gold from 1999. That was very interesting. It had a really nice dusty note I found on top of Blantons, you know. I brought my handy. It was a 23 handy, and there it is there, the Booker's Rye. Now this thing was distilled by Booker No about a year before he died, and he didn't write down how or what the mash bill was, so nobody knows. It's not any normal Booker's or Jim Beam mash bill, so can't even recreate it. So let's cut to some video of Mr. Booker himself.
I'd like to be remembered by my time that I've spent in the distilling business. Of course, I've been in the distilling business most of my life. It's getting close to 50 years now, and I'd like to be remembered as I stuck with it when lots of others faded away, but like my grandfather, he was a strong link, and I'd like to be remembered as the second strongest link in the chain of the Beam family. So I'm just proud of what's been passed on to me and what I can pass on to my son and Fred. The Beams are stick-to-it people. In other words, they're dedicated. When they start into something, they stick with it. I think that's a good trait. Bourbon is the American spirit made by Americans in America. Here's looking at you. Boy, that's good.
I'm not crying, you're crying. Yeah, some bottles are just sort of part of history. There's people in the bourbon industry that are just part of history, and they create these amazing bottles that we get to drink many, many decades later. So this is a pretty special one. So we're about to pop it, pour it, and see if it lives up to the enormous, enormous hype.
I still love the screw. That's just a random screw that they just screwed on top.
Yeah, it's like a fucking Home Depot screw.
Yeah, it's worth a lot. Sad part is that they never wrote down the recipe.
Yeah.
And then there's no
little card.
no little card or anything in there.
Okay. Booker sort of knew.
Weird thing is that I had this sticky in the back that sticks it.
Oh yeah, just hold it in there.
Yeah. They're trying to have every single precaution. So it's what, 13 year, 1 month, and 12 days. 136.2.
What other rye would this mash bill be? Like not rye or? Oh, they don't know.
They don't know. They do not know the mash bill.
So if they don't, how can they not even know the mash bill? Like that's.
I mean, this was a 2016 release.
Yeah.
So distilled in 2003. Back then, they probably didn't give a shit.
No, yeah, I think I read that book about man. That was just all like there was no computers, and they just wrote everything down and just threw some stuff in. And
yeah, they just didn't care.
So this one on the nose was just all sweet confectionery sugar, slight anise or black licorice right at the background there. Not much on the sort of beam nut, but there was a little bit of nutty, like a caramelized sugared nut. On the taste, man, that's where this thing really was different. The first one just sort of puckered me up. It drunk all of its proof, and the oak bomb hit me, sort of like puckered me up a little bit. But then the next sip was just completely different, and the sweetness started to come in, and by the third and fourth sip, it was just a super sweet bomb with that confectionery sugar over that background of like a slight nutty and anise. It was really good. I really like bourbons that sort of change as you drink them like that, and this is probably why this thing is so special. So no, it's one of those bourbons, ryes, whiskies that are just up there with their history, and they match it with their taste, and that's why they're so damn expensive and so hard to get. So Hey, if you're ever able to get a pour of the Booker's Rye, definitely do not turn it down. It's fantastic and something really special. So on to the Takara Gold. So now we're on to a dusty 1999 Takara Gold Blantons. Now, Blantons is owned by Age International, which is owned by Takara Sushu from Japan. So yeah, Japanese owned Blantons. That's why they get all the good stuff. Now this thing, basically anything that's Takara is apparently aged a couple of years more than the stuff we get over here, and as such tastes far better. So anyway, this is from 1999, so it had a really nice dusty note on top of the Blanton's normal sweetness. It was interesting to try something that was dusty that wasn't a turkey. So yeah. So I'm a fan of the general Blanton's flavor, and a couple of years extra aging just gives it even more of that flavor and some deeper notes, and then being dusty added a little bit complexity on top of it, so this was fantastic.
Nice.
Yeah, Heaven Hill 17. This was released 2 years ago, 2021. Basically, the Heaven Hill Heritage Collection comes out once a year from Heaven Hill, and they some of their top stuff. The 17 is pretty well regarded as one of the better ones, even better than the 18, and definitely the 20, because the 20 is just a corn whiskey. So yeah, this thing actually average age is more like 19 and a half years, because it's got some 19 and some 20 in it. This one's a real bourbon, drinker's bourbon. It's got all those classic flavors, but just amped up. You know, massive viscosity, awesome mouthfeel, vanillas, caramels. Just an excellent, excellent pour. So, yeah, if you see it, pick one up. So Parker Beam used to be the master distiller at Heaven Hill. He actually got ALS, so the profits from these bottles actually will go to ALS research. So, and on top of that, they're fantastic. This one was a good one. I liked it. One of the best ryes I think I've had. And speaking of great ryes, Thomas H. Handy. So Thomas H. Handy was apparently, well, they say he was the first guy that used rye in the Sazerac drink, but looking it up, it looks like he also purchased Sazerac at some point. So anyway, these were great. These are so sweet. Typical fucking Buffalo Trace, just mega sweet for a rye, and apparently this is quite a lot of rye. You wouldn't guess it. You'd think this is made out of corn. And speaking of heavy hitters, William Larue Weller. So this is from the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. William Larue Weller from Stitzel Weller fame. He, if didn't invent the wheated whiskey, he definitely perfected it. So that's Stitzel Weller. And now his namesake whiskey that comes out from Buffalo Trace every year is just fantastic. It's cask strength, so they range up to like 130 proofs, and it drinks hot. To me, it does not drink below its proof, but it's enjoyable. It's got that massive Kentucky hug. It's sweet. It does have savory notes as well. It's just a very complex pour, and that's why everyone chases it. Yeah, amazing smell. You can just smell this thing all day. You don't get the ethanol on the nose, but you get a nice warm Kentucky hug. Now the retail on these things are ridiculous. It's like $190 or something now, and that's gone up. So if you see it at retail, buy, instant buy. Secondary is crazy. Coy Hill Hazmat, talk about this a lot. It's absolutely one of my favorites. Go check out my other videos if you want to know about Coy Hill, because pretty much it appears almost everywhere. So this bad boy, this is a 13th Colony. It is a barrel proof or cask strength rye. This one's 13 years and 149.7 proof. Like, that is probably one of the hotter things I've drunken. I've drunken 151. This, you know, you're drinking high proof, but it isn't that bad. It's not gasoline. It's very flavorful, lots of savory notes. Like, look how dark it is. What are they putting in there? Nobody knows, but it's typical 13th Colony flavor. If you've tried any of these really dark 13th Colonies, you'll sort of know what I'm getting at. Very, very oaky, but it's delicious. What you can't do with this is chew it. Like, if you do a Kentucky chew on this thing, good luck to you, sir, because then it all sort of gets in your mouth, down your throat, blows up your face. Literally, your face will explode. And there's the double oak. Like, we just looked how dark it is. Here I was like, what do they put in it? But even on that side, you know, like, that's a thin side of the bottle, and it is just black. And finally, last but not least, is Barrell 20-year toasted. So basically they took their 15-year whiskey and aged it for another 5 years, and a toasted barrel. So this one's dark, it's plenty of caramels and sweetness and vanillas. It's a really good pour, very limited, and if you don't have one now, they're gone. You might find it maybe floating around, but probably not. I think the bottle numbers are pretty limited. So yeah, another great pour on top of great pours on top of great pours. So this was just a fantastic night. So we know these bottles are very expensive. Not everyone is going to be able to try these things, but you know, and you don't really have to. As long as you're sitting around with a bunch of buddies, it doesn't really matter what you try. It doesn't have to be a $3,000, $2,000, $1,000 bottle. It can be a $40 bottle, it can be a $30 bottle. If you're sitting around with a bunch of friends drinking $10 plastic bottles, that might be a problem, but hey, each to their own.
Live in the now!
But no, all reality, I just love the fact that you're sort of tasting history. You're tasting what people have put decades of their time and effort into, and have come up with some of the most amazing whiskies that have ever been produced. So such a great honor to be a part of this thing, and thanks everybody for watching. We wish we could share all these bottles with every thousands of people that watch it, but hey, at least you can watch it. You can maybe get some of my shitty reviews on some of this stuff, but anyway, thanks guys for watching, and we will see you next time.